Welcome back, S'mores, to Beyond the Campfire. Steven had a sex change. That's a great way to start. No, I'm kidding, guys. He's fine. He had some family stuff going on, so he's not joining us today. So we've got the editor here. She's not being paid extra for this. She's not
No,
even getting a Christmas bonus. So,
no,
we haven't paid her in a couple months. It's fine.
no, they haven't. That is true. That is very true.
We keep her locked up in the basement. Sometimes we throw bread down there.
Sometimes I think I can feel the warmth of the sunshine on my face.
Well, probably through that little crack in the little window there. But anyways, so we've got a really good episode coming out right now. It's going to be kind of a shorter one, just because like this topic, there's not really a whole lot on it. I mean, it's an interesting story, the lore behind it, the idea behind it. If it's true, it's kind of terrifying. But yeah, I asked Hailey earlier. She's watched Stranger Things, and what did you say?
I said no.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that means that Hailey is going to be not too sure what's going on. Because what we're talking about today is the Montauk Project. So I was sitting there and I planned out all the episodes, and I had something else completely planned, but I decided to do the Montauk Project because Stranger Things just came out with their last and final season. I have not watched it yet, so don't worry. There's no spoilers there. After this, Hailey needs to go binge watch Stranger Things. I've been binge watching it because I watched it because like season 4 came out like 3 years ago, so I binge watching it to get caught up. But yeah, so today we are traveling to Long Island, New York, where we're going to go to a lovely little beach, and we're going to learn about the Montauk Project. As I stated, there's not a whole lot on this. Could this be true? Possibly. It's kind of like with Bobby Mackey's we talked about a while back, where it's like there's not a lot of evidence to support it. But even this is probably another one. This is probably like one of only two where we're going to kind of like talk about a topic that like might be true, might not be true, but it's still a good story. And as I said, it did spawn off Stranger Things, which is like one of the biggest grossing shows right now. So, it's got to be somewhat cool.
It's like it legit inspired it.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's actually interesting about that is obviously I'll go into the stuff later, but what's really cool about the Montauk Project is the Duffer Brothers who wrote Stranger Things. The original title was Montauk, and they're actually going to be verbatim the Montauk Project. And a lot of the like when I read about what Montauk was and what was going on, it'll kind of almost feel like if you've seen Stranger Things, you'll be sitting there like, holy cow, that's Stranger Things almost to a T, just in Hawkins. Stranger Things is in Hawkins. This is in Long Island. So to kind of start, tell you a little bit of the setting. Like I said, we're in Long Island, New York, at a place called Camp Hero. And it was built during World War II as like a coastal defense. So during World War II, we want to protect ourselves from the Germans. So we're building some coastal defenses. However, during the Cold War, it changed from coastal defense to an air base to help defend us. There was a radio tower, a radar tower, a stage radar tower that was built. That's actually one of the few structures that still stands. And when you look up pictures of Montauk, that's kind of what you see. And it just gives it a really eerie vibe. Because imagine like a broken down radio tower just standing out in the distance.
Not creepy at all.
No.
What do you mean?
So portions of it got decommissioned in the 1980s. And then shortly afterwards, it became a state park. And locals have even reported that they find it unsettling. There's apparently sealed bunkers because, like I said, it was a military base. So there's sealed bunkers, there's tunnels, there's people who complain there's strange hums going on, and that there might still be military presence long after the official closure date. So a lot of spooky things happening, a lot of secrecy, a lot of strange things that have kind of made this setting of what could be going on. So, like with all things, you got to figure out why this little legend kind of started.
Yeah. Tell me why.
So it all started because of a book that came out in 1992 called The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, which was written by Preston Nichols and Peter Moon. And you're like, okay, they wrote a book. Well, Preston, he claimed that apparently the reason he started writing this book was He had repressed memories that he recovered from working underground at the base.
That could go either, wow, good for him, he remembered his memories, or wow, what a fun story this guy's telling me.
I know, right? It's like you sit there and you're like, oh, I had a, like you write a book about getting abducted by aliens, and it's just some dream you had,
Yeah,
and it's like, hmm, how true are those memories?
yeah.
Um,
Did he have
so
drugs in his system at the time of these repressed memories?
I don't know, because all it said was like he was like, yo, man, I had these memories of like experimenting on people, man, and like the government, like they're totally screwed up, man. And he's like, I'm gonna write a book about this.
Oh, good for him, honestly.
What's funny is, speaking about drugs, I've tried to get Steve to have you ever seen the little mushrooms that grow out of cow patties?
Yeah.
So you can take those and boil them into a tea, and it makes you hallucinate. So I've
Mm,
wanted to do that with Steven and do a Patreon episode.
see, it'd be really funny because my cousins, like, I believe my uncle does something with cattle and, like, he has a herd and stuff like that. So, in theory, I could join you guys from a long distance. That'd be really funny, though. I would
It would
not
be.
do it. Like,
I
I'm
think it'd
not.
be hilarious is if we got Paul, our camera guy, and Steve and I just took these shrooms and we just went out in the woods and just see what happens.
Yeah,
So,
those would
he
make for some fun. That would be like a great Patreon episode,
oh yeah,
honestly.
we're
Like
getting good
that'd be great.
ideas. When we first launched Patreon, we didn't really do a whole lot because we didn't really know what we were doing. But like now, we've got a lot of good ideas, and maybe we'll write our own book about some government experiment that happened to us in the woods.
Yeah,
You
why
know,
not? Go for it.
so yeah, so he connected the Montauk Project to something else we've covered on the podcast called the Philadelphia Experiment.
Yeah.
You remember that episode where that
Yes.
was a time travel experiment or a teleportation experiment? What's actually really interesting about, because like I said, the Montauk Project's based off Stranger Things, is there's a play that they did between that would kind of fill in the gaps. It's like a prequel to Stranger Things, and actually in it they talk about the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So the book then spiraled into allegations of mind control, psychological warfare in this group called the Montauk Boys, and then began this whole government conspiracy that the government possibly could have been doing some shady stuff.
and what year was this again?
The book came out in 1992.
Okay. So could you say this would have been happening in the 80s?
Yeah, the government. The idea is that the theories, the experiments were happening in the 70s and the 80s.
I'm drawing it back to your shading the 80s thing.
Hey, we're trying to get merch, and I want to get somebody to actually design it because I think it'd be a good cool t-shirt. So following this, there was more self-published books by him, where there was interviews, there was UFO conventions, and early internet forums where this guy was just going all around talking about the Montauk Project. Then people were investigating themselves, and it just started spiraling into this whole thing. And apparently, one of the reasons was, part of the reason that people kind of bought into it was the radio tower kind of looked like a secret experiment hub, like just this random radio tower out in the middle of the dunes of Long Island. And it's kind of like, oh, there's something going on there.
Okay, okay.
So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the experiments that went on. It's not just some random military base where they're just doing random things. They're doing allegedly some experiments.
Yeah, there's got to be something more than just, hey, wait a minute, that building looks suspicious.
Well, there was the idea that there was mind control or government psychic programs. There was claims that there was chairs built with some sort of metal, like exotic metals, that would amplify psychic abilities. Where subjects
Okay.
were forced into experiments where they had remote viewings, where they would do telepathy and they would alter their emotions. This is what's really interesting is that some of this, um, because that we were hearing about this mind control, the government was doing something with the mind. A lot of people thought back to MK Ultra, and were like, "Wait a second, if that happened, and we know that happened, then maybe something else will happen here."
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, I can see that thread. That makes sense.
Yeah. There's the Montauk boys. So this is where it also gets a little creepy because it also goes a little bit into Stranger Things. The Montauk boys, there's allegations that basically the government, in order to get subjects for this, because like with MK Ultra, you kind of had some volunteers, but with this, it's like, who's going to volunteer for this? So they would kidnap runaway boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, I guess because a runaway isn't necessarily going to be reported by missing parents
Yeah.
or foster parents wherever they're at. But
Yeah. So it's like perfectly logical.
yeah, that they'd go missing.
Exactly. So they were then used in like the mind control experiments, where they were also used in the possibility of time travel and portals. There was some of that going on because, like I said, it goes back to the Philadelphia experiment, to where there was some idea of, time travel and possibly also teleportation and stuff. Some people claim that they rip open a time tunnel under the base. Some people also claim that there were stories of traveling to the future, Mars, or alternate realities. Um, Nichols, or Preston, the guy who wrote the book, did claim that the experiments fractured space time. So, ripping the fabric of time over here, just a normal thing for the government.
Yeah, average Thursday night,
Yeah. Now, the most dramatic story from this whole thing, which also ties a little bit into Stranger Things, because if you know the bare minimum of Stranger Things, at least season 1, you got the Demogorgon that comes
Yeah.
around, right? There is a beast of the Montauk Project, and we actually have a ChatGPT story where you and I fight the beast.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Oh,
Steve's not here,
that's
so
okay. This will be fun.
Yeah, so apparently there was a claim that a teenage psychic allegedly manifested a creature called the Montauk Beast. Apparently, it rampaged through the underground complex, and the only way they were able to shut down the project or kill the beast was they basically severed the psychic link, and then they shut down the project, and it stopped the beast.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's basically the gist of Montauk. I'm going to go into some more things in just a second, but that is the main gist, is that you have this guy who came out in 1992, wrote a book claiming all this stuff was going on in this place called Camp Hero. And like, they were kidnapping boys, they were doing psychic tests, they were ripping open time, they were creating monsters, like just this whole shady government, like, shady in the 80s, which we've had moments on here with the government that, like, makes people question it. So obviously, like I said, there's not a lot of documentation on all this. Again, this from this guy's book, and then it spiraled into some people being like, "Oh, I heard this and I heard this." So I guess I'll kind of go through what is real and kind of is documented about this place. Camp Hero is a real place. Like I said, it is a park now. It's been decommissioned, and there are certain areas that are sealed off, like you can't access them. So that probably does fuel a little bit of the fire of like, why are they sealed? The radar is real. The tunnels that I said, like, remember how I mentioned there's all these tunnels and stuff? They
Yeah.
do exist. But again, they say they're sealed for safety. That sounds suspicious. Since when does
Yeah.
the government care for my safety? You know?
Well, to be fair, to be skeptical, because more people are suing the government now. If you were to trip over a pebble that was not supposed to be where it was, you could say, "Oh, well, this was a safety hazard. The government didn't warn me."
They should have put a warning sign on the pebble. Like it's like the people that like carry water bottles in Walmart and they like spill the water on the floor and they fake slip and they're like, there was no wet floor sign, and then they make like $1 million.
Yep.
Why is me and Steven making a podcast when we could be making millions doing that?
I don't know, man. You're trying to do stuff legitly. That's the problem.
Maybe we need to be doing illegal business.
Or at least shadier business.
Shady. Well, it's not the 80s. Let's see. We do, like I said, so part of the fuel was from MK Ultra, which we do know MK Ultra did happen. Um, and if you guys want to go look at that video, I have it where YouTube like recommends it, but it's probably not going to recommend it. Just go find it. We talked about MK Ultra. And apparently there was like a lot of like secrecy around this place because it was the Cold War, and it's like we don't want the commies to know what's going on. But a lot of people are like being a little too secret, you know. But again, like I said, nothing really ties back to the Montauk Project. There's no real documentation. Kind of like Bobby Mack. You know, Bobby says these things happen, and we don't really have any evidence. That's kind of the same thing with the Montauk Project. But if it did happen, because it probably, I mean, it could have. You know, why would the government really keep track of kidnapping kids and all of that? You know, they deny Epstein.
Very true. Very true.
You know, can't trust them. So yeah, this has had like a significant impact on our culture. As I said, like you had Stranger Things has come from this. Let's see. Apparently, because of this, tourism to Camp Hero has actually increased too. A lot of people are actually going to Camp Hero. We do that in our story. Now again though with the Montauk Project in it, not everyone going to Camp Hero is going for the crazy stuff. You've got a mixture of hikers, supernatural enthusiasts, paranormal investigators, conspiracy nuts.
And I'm all of the above.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I'm filling in for Steven. I'm none of the above except maybe a hiker. I don't know what he does in his free time.
Yeah. So that's it. Any questions on Montauk?
I don't think so.
It's pretty straightforward. It's
Yeah,
like
it's pretty straightforward.
guy wrote a book, people started believing, and you know. Now, do you think that there could be a chance of Montauk being?
I think there's something the government is hiding. Now, if it's full blown, like a girl with psychic powers, that I cannot put faith in. But I can say that I think the government probably was hiding something.
I mean, I just feel like that's kind of like I think with a lot of people, it's
So I
like
feel like that's
I've
kind of a it's kind of a cop out to be like, "Oh yeah, they were probably hiding something." But it's like the government, they're always hiding something.
they're
So like to
doing
me
stuff like,
that's
and
not
I think what gives credibility to Montauk, whether Montauk is like real or not, I mean, you could debate that, but I think to give Montauk some credibility, I mean, we look at like MK Ultra, you know, like I even said this to Steven. I said, had I actually sat there and I could spend weeks and do like a full 3 hour, 4 hour episode on MK Ultra. Like it's wild what the government did with MK Ultra. And you like think about all the things the government did during the Cold War.
uh-huh.
Because we're trying to win. We're trying to beat the Nazis, or not the Nazis. We already beat them. We're trying to. Well, actually, we didn't beat them. They joined us.
Yeah.
Anyways, Operation Paperclip. But it's like there's so many things that the government has done and like have tried to do that like when you start reading the different like Operation Northwoods, you know, like when we talked about 9/11 being an inside job, Stephen didn't mention it, but Operation Northwoods was the CIA basically wanted to commit terrorism against Americans, you know, to get us in war with Cuba. And it's like we were doing everything, man, back then. We were trying to do everything and anything we could to beat the commies. So, you know, it's like, well, yes, Montauk, most of it stems back to this guy's book, and this guy is the one that came out with it. And there's really been not a lot of documentation. Would the government really come out and say, yeah, we kidnapped some boys and forced them to crush Coke cans with their minds? Probably not, you know.
Well, and here's something else. I was just thinking about it today actually, because I was watching something with my mom. But like all these conspiracy theories that seem so crazy. I don't know if you guys have said this already, but like what if they're manufactured so people then asking any questions, you're instantly crazy?
Yeah. Well, that's where
Because
we
that's kind
obviously
of
we can't we there's some conspiracy theories on this podcast like I don't think we're ever going to get to just because um there's just some out there that's kind of like I'm trying not to get us canceled with what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say a certain word in a certain group behind certain things. But it's like even those people like you can't that's the weird thing about like the world today is like you know all it I mean and when you look at it when with being a conspiracy theorist like with these episodes Steve and I are just asking questions. We're just trying to. Here's what we know. Here's the facts. Here's the theories, and cat. That's a government agent right there. That little collar got a microphone in it. But and the thing is like it's like people. I mean, we should be asking questions. We should be curious, but it's like you get to a point where you start asking the wrong questions, and people start thinking, you wear a tinfoil hat, and it's like, especially when it comes to government, I always have it in mind, like, could the government have done it? Probably. Could they have not done it? Probably. I just don't trust the government because, they don't have our best interest in mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. Ultimately, it's what's the best interest for what they perceive is their goal, not what's the best interest of the people in actuality.
Yeah, well, like I said with Operation Northwoods, let's going back to the Montauk Project. Could the government have been kidnapping kids to make psychological weapons to beat the commies? Probably, because I mean the CIA was willing to literally kill American civilians and blame it on the Cubans so that we could go take out the commies in Cuba.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like they have their, and if you go into the deeper conspiracies of like the one world order and what they want to achieve, it's like when you start looking at certain things and you're like, okay, well, who would benefit from this most? They don't care about us. They want their goal in mind. So could the Montauk Project be real? Probably. Could it not be real? Probably. Did it give us a pretty cool show? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got. I'm now going to read us going into the Montauk experiment.
Okay.
And you're included. So
let me just snuggle up here for this. All
See,
right, I'm
Steven
ready.
doesn't do this kind of stuff. He's like, grab your blankets, guys, and get ready for it. And then he just sits there at a desk.
See, I got my homemade blanket and I crocheted it all by myself. And now I'm all cuddly and cozy and ready for whatever trauma you're going to subject me to through ChatGPT.
I used to sit on the couch, and I moved to the desk because I'm like, the window looks so cool behind me. And probably next week, I'm going to have to be against the fireplace because the tree goes here. So, all right. Episode 11, the Montauk Experiment, featuring Will and Editor Hailey. Part 1, missing a partner. Sahil wasn't with me. He was stuck in Atlanta at a family wedding, something involving 17 cousins and a goat. His words. So for the first time since Beyond the Campfire started, I was traveling without him. But I wasn't alone. Hailey, our editor, video guru, and resident, please don't die, I need this footage, had agreed to join me. I'm just here to make sure you don't wander straight into a secret government death laser, she said as we drove east toward Montauk Point. I shrugged. Only happened twice. She lowered her sunglasses. I'm not joking, cowboy. Part 2, Camp Hero never slept. The ruins of Camp Hero Air Force Station sat at the edge of the ocean like a rusting skeleton. Concrete bunkers stared out across the water. The old radar tower loomed like a giant steel tombstone. The air smelled like salt, pine, and something faintly electrical. I cannot believe they let people walk around here, Hailey said, adjusting her camera. They don't, I answered. Not the parts we're going to. She cursed under her breath. Fantastic. Montauk Project lore said the base was home to psychic warfare experiments, time manipulation, kidnapped children used as test subjects, beasts pulled from nightmares, and wormholes beneath the base. Insane stuff, except every story had a witness. Every story had multiple witnesses, and every witness looked like someone who wished they hadn't seen anything at all. The tunnel entrance. We found the tunnel at the back of a collapsed maintenance shed. Rusty metal doors, half buried in sand, a government lock long cut open, the smell of damp concrete. Hailey aimed her flashlight down the dark stairwell. Will, this is how I die. I patted her shoulder. Nah, if something eats us, it'll start with me. I look like the full meal. That's not comforting. We descended. The air got colder. A hum echoed, soft, vibrating through the walls, like something electrical still lived deep inside the abandoned base. This place feels wrong, Hailey whispered. Yep, I said. Camp Hero has been dead since '84, but something's still breathing down here. The chair room. We entered a large chamber filled with rusted metal equipment, broken consoles, old monitors, shattered glass. But in the center stood a chair. Not just any chair. The chair. The Montauk Chair. The one Preston Nichols swore could amplify psychic energy. The one rumored to tear open wormholes and pull nightmares alive. It was bolted to the floor, straps hung loose. A cracked helmet laid beside it. Hailey swallowed. People sat in that? They say it made boys disappear, I answered quietly. Before she could respond, something scraped across the floor behind us. A slow, dragging sound. We turned. Nothing. Hailey tightened her grip on the camera. Tell me that was the building settling. I shook my head. That wasn't the building. The lights on our equipment flickered, then died. Our flashlights dimmed. A low frequency buzz filled the room, too low to be natural. It rattled my teeth. Hailey covered her ears. Will, what is happening? Before I could answer, a voice echoed through the dark. A child's voice. Help me. Hailey froze. Oh no. Nope, absolutely not. The Montauk beast appears. The tunnel behind us darkened further. Not just darkness, movement. Something crawled toward us on too many limbs. Body dragging across concrete. Flashlight beams shook as we raised them. Gray skin, long skeletal limbs, matted hair, a mouth that opened far too wide. A distorted humanoid shape, like a child stretched and broken into something wrong. The Montauk beast. The creature from the old stories. The one they said came from the chair. Pulled from nightmares. From another reality. Or maybe from someone's psychic projection. Whatever it was real. And it was hungry. Hailey whispered, voice shaking. Well, that thing used to be human. Maybe, I said, but it ain't anymore. It screeched, a horrible, metallic, painful sound. The tunnel lights popped one by one behind it. It lunged. Escaped through the tunnels. I grabbed Hailey by the arm and shoved her towards the corridor. Run! We sprinted through twisting hallways. The creature crawled along the walls. Fast, unnatural, scraping metal with every movement. Our footsteps echoed wildly. The air filled with dust. Hailey gasped. Why does it sound like it's everywhere? Because it is. We turned a corner. Dead end. Caved in concrete. Hailey looked at me like she was going to kill me before the monster did. Will. The creature slammed into the wall behind us. Concrete shook. Dust rained down. I saw a rusted electrical panel barely hanging on its hinges. Hailey, your multi-tool. I guess you got a multi-tool. She tossed it to me. I jammed into the panel, exposing the wires. The beast crawled closer, teeth grinding. I twisted two wires together. The sparks exploded. The creature recoiled with a shriek, covering its face. Electricity surged, the hallway lights flickering on in rapid bursts. Hailey grabbed my arm. Move, move. We dashed past the flickering beast as it convulsed, stunned but far from dead. We didn't stop running. The way out. We burst out of the tunnel entrance into blinding morning light. Hailey collapsed on the sand. I slammed the door shut behind us and dragged an old beam across the handles. The creature slammed the door from inside. Once, twice, then silence. Hailey wheezed. We are never doing that again. I sat beside her, heart pounding. Welcome to the field team. She shoved my shoulder. Next time Sahil goes missing, we cancel the episode. We had fun, I said with a grin. She stared at me. Will, a government nightmare mutant chased us through an underground lab. But we got the footage. She groaned. I'm editing this one with gloves on. Aftermath. We watched the sun rise over Camp Hero. Hailey said quietly, do you think that thing is still human? I shook my head. Whatever it used to be, the chair made something else. She whispered, why would the government create something like that? Because they thought they'd never lose control of it. She shuddered. Let's get out of here. Yeah, I said. Next time we're bringing Sahil. I'm not dealing with psychic monsters without his nerdy commentary. She smiled faintly. And I'm charging you overtime. We left Camp Hero behind us, but as we drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that the tunnel doors wouldn't hold forever. Some experiments don't die, they wait.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like the part where I had a multi-tool.
I don't know why you had a multi-tool. I'm like, Hailey, wait, your multi-tool. Give me the multi-tool.
I'm just gonna start carrying one with me now, just so. And then people will ask me, "Why do you have a multi-tool?" And then I'll be like,
Just in
"Oh,
case,
yeah,
my
you never
bosses drag
know."
me into, just in case my bosses drag me into a weird underground government base and we get chased by some weird mutant creature that looks like it's from the Thing, and he needs to open a panel box.
Yeah, you never know.
I like it at the end when it's like, next time we need to bring Steven, so I have his commentary, and you're
Yeah.
like, next time you're paying me overtime.
Yeah.
Did she get the overtime? That's the
No.
conspiracy we'll cover next episode. Hailey's paycheck, where'd it go?
Exactly.
She's got to pay for her 21 Pilot concert somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
exactly.
I hear they're playing in Canada next.
See, now we gotta you guys go watch our Patreon at Beyond Campfire, so you guys can support Hailey getting a paycheck to fly to Canada to go see 21 Pilots. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Beyond Campfire. You got anything else for us, Hailey, before we close out?
I'd say this was fun. I can see why you and Steven like doing it.
Yeah, we're going to keep doing it if people keep supporting us. So thank you guys again for watching and listening. And out at Montauk, the ocean is the only thing that still whispers.